Oh boy, what a beautiful day on the internet. No Vivziepop drama in sight. I'm so relieved she finally left Twitter behind to live peacefully on bluesky, instead of firing off reactionary tweets at the most harmless memes and thumbnails. Just a quick note, before we dive in, this segment was recorded after I'd already finished the video, but I felt it needed some context. So let's be real. Yeah, the meme I used in the thumbnail for the Fixed film is overplayed. But that was kind of the point. I wanted it to capture the same knee-jerk negativity people had when they first saw the Fixed trailer. When my video went up, the film wasn't even on Netflix yet, and people had only seen the trailer, and most had already written it off. My goal was to rage bait a little, to get people curious enough to click. And once they did, the actual video itself praised the movie and pushed people to give it a fair shot, in spite of how raunchy and cringe some of the trailers seemed. I'm not Cartoonshy or Saberspark, and I can't just throw up a plain thumbnail and expect clicks. I wanted something layered, something more than just Vivzy bad, movie bad, and yeah, it was a dead meme, but it was never meant to be a personal attack on Vivziepop. If anything, the thumbnail was bait to get people to consider raunchy humor and animation with a more open mind. That said, I still think the meme holds a bit of truth when we look at Vivziepop's work as a creator, not as a woman. So let's get into that. Imagine, if you will, Punch Punch Forever, Peepadow, Lackadaisy, Gaslight District, and, just for the sake of an easy edit, Bear in the Big Blue House, if they were all written by Vivziepop.
Hold back, give me chicken pot pie!
Hey, you squeezy little mouse, go get it your sorry ass
Don't
self!
talk to me like that, bitch!
Get out of my way, you piece of shit!
Okay, that last one was actually kind of funny. But you get the point. Any property rewritten by Vivziepop would instantly spark discussion. You only have to look at how the internet reacted to Homestuck being produced by her and her team at Spindlehorse. Stick around, by the way, I'll get right back to that soon enough. But in my humble opinion, I feel like this is for good reason. While the meme is obviously overplayed and often used as a way to personally attack Vivziepop, it still works the same way all good jokes do. There's always a hint of truth. The whole insert property but written by Vivziepop gag perfectly encapsulates the way nearly everything she touches ends up infused with her distinctly teenage sensibilities that she never shook off from when she started animation, where every character, no matter what, talks like they're in the outtakes of a SpongeBob episode, swearing constantly.
You fucking cocksucker!
And where in that it's actually kind of hilarious, it just feels incredibly painful to sit through. It's become such a reoccurring issue in her writing that entire threads have been dedicated to counting the number of swears in each episode of Hazbin Hotel. Hell, just in her recent Helluva Boss and Hazbin Hotel crossover promotion for Amazon, the characters managed to swear several dozen times within the span of 2 to 3 minutes. And I get it, they're supposed to be from hell, but there's a certain point in which you can kind of refrain from swearing non-stop as a means to establish that your characters are from hell. Just look at many other shows that do the same thing with their demon-like characters. The problem is that excessive swearing in shows like Hazbin Hotel and Helluva Boss often comes across as more distracting than edgy, and it can feel like a massive crutch for weak writing rather than a genuine character's voice or sense of humor. Also, if you're enjoying the video so far, be sure to leave a like and let me know what you think of Vivziepop below. I mean, try and imagine if Todd from BoJack Horseman was written like he was in Breaking Bad at the very beginning, just having him spam the word bitch because they knew that it was funny for people before on the internet. And while he's not my favorite character of BoJack Horseman, he was given far more dimensions and was written in a far more mature way than any number of comic relief characters in Hazbin Hotel. It's for this reason that a lot of people like to call her show Safe Edgy, because she never takes the necessary risks to write her characters in any meaningful way outside of spamming swear words to build up any level of character. Much of it is just swearing and off-color visual gags. Hell, movies like Fixed are edgy, swear a lot, but are given more praise, and especially with the recent trailer doing pretty poorly online, insane amounts of reconsideration, because unlike Vivzy's work, Gendy was actually edgy with Fixed. So edgy, in fact, fact, early promotions almost made the entire internet collectively avoid it. But myself and many others took to the film, realizing it actually had quite a lot of charm, and a little bit of heart too. By the way, I put a video out on that film just a week before the film release, so be sure to check that out if you're interested. Vivzie's issue was that instead of adding wit or depth, the constant barrage of profanity risks alienating viewers who want sharper dialogue and stronger storytelling. For many critics, this over-reliance on swearing has become emblematic of Vivziepop's entire style, reinforcing negative perceptions of her work. Yet despite years of feedback and criticism from goobers like me online, she continues to double down on this approach, refusing to adjust or evolve, which only deepens the divide between her shows and the audiences who might otherwise give them a chance. I mean, personally, I had to force myself through the show. While I appreciated the animation, a lot of the dialogue took me out sometimes, and I'd have to take a little bit of time off from binging the show because it was just a bit too much for me. In fact, this issue is only exacerbated with Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt that recently released, proving that swearing and raunchy humor can work when woven into the DNA of a show. Inspired by American cartoons like Powerpuff Girls and Invader Zim, it takes crude jokes and profanity and turns them into stylistic weapons, matching the outrageous animation and absurd tone. The vulgarity feels earned and deliberate, serving the satire and the energy of the story rather than distracting from it. And this show has literal devil characters in it, and even they swear far less than the serious, grounded characters of Hazbin Hotel or Helluva Boss. That's why audiences embraced it so fully. Its over-the-top crudeness became part of the fun, even inspiring memes that highlight how many people love Panty and Stocking's profanity but groan over Hazbin Hotel and Helluva Boss. It's probably the only show I know that people actually actively cheer on bad line reads of swear words from characters from Japan.
You motherfucker!
Oh yeah, you motherfucker!
The difference is so clear. One uses swearing as a tool for comedy and style, while the other leans on it as a shortcut, making Vivziepop's writing feel shallow and try-hard by comparison. Panty and Stocking knows what it is and tonally sticks to that. It's a goofy, etchy anime, and it hardly ever tries to be anything else. Whereas Vivziepop's shows will hit you on the head with grape jokes, and then the next moment try and tell you to take the show seriously. But this is where things are getting a little more interesting. Vivzie has been handed a property with a truly massive legacy, Homestuck. Much like Undertale, it's an indie phenomenon that inspired both passionate devotion and notoriously toxic fandom discourse, and the fans are understandably protective of how it's being adapted. While most of the material is already written, the webcomic's unique format leaves a lot of room for interpretation, and many are concerned Vivziepop might warp its characters into exaggerated versions that resemble her Hazbin Hotel cast. So far, the pilot appears more restrained than her past work, though moments like Dave casually calling someone numbnuts already raise eyebrows. Still, it suggests she might be learning, even slightly, that writing for adults doesn't mean drowning every scene in profanity. Honestly, who knows? This adaptation could be the turning point that shows Vivzie that there are more effective ways to write for mature audiences than treating dialogue like a Club Penguin chat room with the filters turned off. At the end of the day, swearing isn't inherently bad. It can be funny, sharp, and even iconic when used with intent, as shows like Panty and Stocking prove. It's a show that is not only hilariously written though, but also has some of the coolest animations to come out of Japan for a show as non-serious as it is. Whereas unfortunately, Hazbin Hotel has been lagging behind on that aspect. So unfortunately, it has a little more heavy lifting to do. But the problem comes when profanity becomes a substitute for real writing, which is why so many people feel turned off by Vivziepop's work. With Homestuck, Vivziepop is stepping back from being the sole creative voice and instead contributing more to the animation side while leaving much of the writing to others. That major shift opens the door for her studio to experiment with new styles of comedy, tone, and pacing. Things that could help push her work beyond the familiar rhythms of the Helliverse where constant swearing and sex jokes is the norm. If her team succeeds in bringing fresh voices and approaches into the mix, it might not only broaden her studio's creative identity, but it also might breathe new life into her existing projects. Still, it's too early to know if this will mark a turning point in Vivziepop's career, or just a brief detour before returning to the same patterns that made her both beloved and incredibly divisive among people online. But I don't know, what do you guys think? Let me know below, and I'll see you next week.